Yeah, good evening, all. Welcome to Infosys Coding Training, Day 10. So, hope you are all preparing well for the exam, which is scheduled on 25th January. Hope everyone got their mail regarding venue, details, and exam timings. Yes or no? So, today we will solve one previous Infosys question asked in 2023. So, if you practice these kind of questions, then definitely you can solve one question, easy level question in the examination, and if possible second question, medium question also you can finish. Okay, so let us go with the question. The question asked in 2023 Infosys examination. Okay, so this is the question. So while playing an RPG game, okay, so there is a game called as a RPG game. So you are assigned to complete one of the hardest quests in this game. Okay, so you have been assigned some quests to finish the game. So there are n monsters. There are n monsters you will need to defeat in this quest. So your task is to defeat n monsters in the game. Okay. So each monster I is described with two integers, power of I and bonus of I. Okay, so the monster is described by using these two integer numbers. Okay, so first one denotes the power of the monster I, and the second number indicates the bonus if you defeat that monster. The bonus you will get if you defeat the monster. Okay, so this is how each monster is described with these two integer numbers. Then to defeat this monster, okay, so you need at least power of I experience points. If you want to defeat a monster with a power I, so each monster will have a power. Okay, so you should have at least power I experience points. Okay, so here this is very important. At least power I experience point should be there. Okay, so that means minimum of power I. For example, if the monster has a 100 power, okay, so then your experience point should be at least 100. Okay, so that means your point should be either equal to 100 or it should be greater than 100. But if your experience points are less than 100, okay, so if your experience points are less than 100, okay, so you cannot defeat the monster. Okay, so this uh, you should understand from this word. Okay, so at least. Then if you try fighting this monster without having enough experience points, yeah, that is what mentioned here. Okay, so with less than 100 points, if you try to fight with the monster, so you lose immediately. So you will be defeated. Monster will win in the game. Okay, so you'll also gain a bonus of I experience points. So you will get a bonus of I experience point if you defeat this monster. Okay, so the advantage when you defeat a monster, okay, is you'll get some bonus experience points. Okay, so every monster is represented by two integer numbers, we said, no? So the first one indicates power of the monster, and the second one indicates the bonus points that you will get if you defeat the monster. Okay, so those bonus points will be added to your previous experience points. And you can defeat monsters in any order. Okay, so this is another important point to be noted. Okay, so you can defeat the monster in any order. This has to be noted down. Okay, so that means the monsters come in order. Okay, so first one, second one, like this. Okay, so you can start fighting with the second monster. Okay, or you can start fighting with third monster, like this. You can defeat in any order. It is not required that you should always fight with first monitor monster first, and then a fight with second monster next, then next third monster next. No. Okay, so that point is conveyed here. You can defeat monsters in any order. Okay, so these points you should understand very clearly from the problem statement. Okay, so here at least is given, and similarly here this point is given in any order. Okay, so these creates difference in writing the solution. Got it? Then the quest turned out to be very hard. Okay, so your quest turned out to be very hard. You try to defeat the monsters but keep losing repeatedly. Okay, so you are go on fighting with, but you always lose. Okay, so that's why your fight became very tough and hard. Okay, so your friend told you that this quest is impossible to complete. Okay, so he suggested you cannot defeat the monster. Okay, so it's impossible for you to defeat the monsters. Okay, so better you quit. That's what your friend told you. So knowing that you are interested, but still you are interested, you don't want to give up. Okay, so if you are still interested, then what is the maximum possible number of monsters you can defeat? Okay, so the maximum number of possible number of monsters, how many maximum possible number of monsters you can defeat in the fight or in the RPG game. Okay, so that you need to find out after fighting. So you need to just tell what is the maximum possible number of monsters you defeated. Okay, so that value we need to calculate from this game. So let us see the input format. The first line contains an integer n. Okay, so this denotes the number of monsters. This is very important. N indicates the number of monsters. N indicates number of monsters. Okay, so just give me some time. Then the next line contains an integer e, denoting your initial experience. Okay, so e indicates experience. Okay, so it is given that you should have some experience points. Okay, so those experience points are denoted by the integer e here. Then each line of the n subsequent lines, okay, so contains an integer, one integer that denotes power of I, that denotes a power of I. Okay, I indicates monster. Okay, so first monster, power of 1 means first monster, power of 2 means second monster, so which represents power of the corresponding monster here. Okay, so his power is indicated by using these n subsequent lines there. Okay, so then each line I of the, again one more n subsequent lines. Okay, so again contains one more integer, and that indicates the bonus of I, which represents bonus for defeating the corresponding monster. So if you defeat the monster, then these are the bonus points that you will get, that is indicated in the next subsequent n lines. Okay, so this is how your input format is. The very first thing is you should understand this input format, because in the sample input what each number represents, okay, so what other lines represents, these things you should clearly understand, so that you can map the input into output easily. If you don't understand what these numbers represent, then you cannot map this input onto the output. So you should spend time. Okay, so at least spend 15 to 20 minutes of time in understanding the problem statement itself, understanding the input format, okay, understanding the sample test cases, sample input format. Okay, so all these uh, pre-processing you should do before attempting or solving the question. Okay, so no problem, 15 to 20 minutes you spend on understanding the problem statement itself, understanding the input format, understanding the sample input, sample output, then it becomes easy to develop the logic. Done. Right, so let us see with some test cases. Okay, so here input is given like 2, 123, 78, 130, 10 and 0. Okay, so we should get the output 2, so you should map this input to output. So explanation is also given to you for sample cases. Okay, so from them you can gain some knowledge about the problem. Okay, so here what this first line indicates, the first line indicates number of monsters, so there are two monsters here. Okay, so what this second line indicates, its second line indicates is experience. Okay, so initially your experience points will be indicated. Okay, so then next two lines indicates what, next two lines indicates power of each monster. Okay, then the next two lines indicates what, bonus of each monster. Okay, so that means the first monster power is 78 points, second monster power is 130 points, and if you defeat the first monster you gain 10 bonus points, and if you defeat the second monster, nothing, you gain 0 bonus points you will get. Okay, so these things you should understand very clearly. Right, okay, so we will see here. So explanation, see here, before you go for a description, you should able to derive these things from the given input format, okay, and problem statement you should able to derive. Afterwards you match with your values with provided in the description. Okay, is there any discrepancy in this, or is, if it is same, then that means you are on the same line in solving the problem. Okay, so initial experience level is 123 points, this is 123 points. So defeat first monster. Okay, so here now if you understand this clearly, just see here, number of monsters are 2. Okay, so what are their powers, what are their powers, the first monster will have 78 points and the second monster has 130 points. And what is your initial experience, your initial experience is 123 points. Okay, and what are the bonus points you will get, bonus points are 10 and 0. Okay, right, So your initial experience points are 123, whereas the power of first monster is 78 points only. Okay, so that means your experience is greater than the first monster here. Okay, if you compare with the second monster, it is less. Okay, so that means if you fight with the second monster, you will be defeated. Okay, so that's why you see that if your power is more, experience points is more than the power of a monster, that means you can fight with this monster. Okay, so if your points are greater, that means you can defeat this monster one. Okay, so that means your counter becomes a one here. One monster you can defeat here, that is what. Okay, so defeat the first monster having a 78 points. Okay, so when you defeat the first monster, okay, so what are the bonus points you will get? 10 bonus points you will get. That means now your experience becomes 123 plus 10. Okay, so 133, it becomes 133. This you should understand, this calculation you should understand from the problem statement. Okay, so it is given clearly, it is 133, your experience points becomes. Okay, now you have 133 experience points, and the second monster has a power is 130 only, so your points are more, that means you can also defeat this second monster. Okay, so that's it. If you have third monster, then it is required to calculate the experience points, and moreover if you defeat the second monster, nothing you will gain, no bonus points. Okay, so your bonus points will be your experience points will be same 133 only, no change in that. Okay, so that means you can also defeat the second monster, that means your count becomes a plus one. So finally how many monsters you can defeat? Two monsters you can defeat, so the output is 2. That is what we got here. Okay, so this is how you should mathematically map input onto output, and you should do some calculations on the paper. Okay, and try to generate some logic. Okay, so you are trying to generate some logic. Yes or no? Okay, that means we have to look at our points first, and our points are greater than monster power. Okay, so experience is greater than monster power, then we can say that we can defeat. We defeated one monster. Then count value you should increment. Okay, so this way you are able to understand the logic. Okay, now let us apply the same logic with the second test case. Okay, so this is the second test case. So n value is 3 given here. Okay, so initial experience points are 100. Experience points are 100. Okay, now you see here all the three test cases you should work out first. Then you will come to know the actual logic to develop. Okay, so what are the power points? 101, 100. Okay, and also 304. These are the, and what are the bonus points you will get? You will get 100 for first one, second one, and third one 524 points you will get. Okay, so now if you choose starting from first monitor, okay, so can you defeat this monitor? No, you cannot defeat this monitor. Okay, so then what you need to do? You need to fight with the second monster. Can you defeat this monster? Yes, because your points are equal. It should be greater or equal. Okay, so since they are equal, then your experience points will become plus 1. Okay, so it becomes a 101. Okay, so that means now your count becomes a 1. Only one monster you defeated. Okay, so then again check your experience points greater than the third monster's power. No. Okay, so that means what happened? You can defeat only one monster. Okay, you can defeat only one monster, and you get answer as a 1, but the actual answer should be 2 here. Actual answer should be 2 here. Okay, so then what's happening here? Why I'm not getting 2? Okay, so for that what you need to do is you need to read the problem statement once again. Okay, you need to read the problem statement once again. Okay, so then you will get some more clarity about this, and the clarity is this one. Okay, so you can defeat monsters in any order. You can defeat the monsters in any order. Okay, so that means it is not required to start a fighting with the first monster. Okay, so what we need to look at here in this problem, so that means we need to always look at start fighting with a monster who is having a less points, or less or equal to our experience points. Okay, so that you can gain some bonus points, and you can improve your experience points, and you can start defeating a more number of monsters. Our aim is to maximize maximize possible number of monsters. Okay, so that's why what you need to do, you need to arrange these monsters power in the ascending order. You should arrange them in the ascending order. Okay, so if you can arrange them in the ascending order, so then your power list looks like this. Okay, so this is first monster, and when you arrange you should arrange the bonus points in the same order. Okay, if you, because both are two different lists here, you should arrange both of them in the same order. First monster bonus points 1, then next 101, next list is 101, his bonus points are 100. Okay, so next is 304, and his bonus points are y24. This way, if you organize okay, in ascending order, now you go on get each monster from the list and start fighting with him. Okay, so your initial points are 100 here, your initial points are 100. Okay, so this logic you should develop on paper, this logic you should understand. Okay, so if you don't get this logic and you always start fighting from the first monster itself, then you may end up with failed test cases. Okay, so test case 1 may be fault, passed, test case 2 will fail. Okay, so test case 3 also contains this kind of, okay, so it will also fail, or if it is okay, it will be passed. Okay, or sometimes in public test cases, it he only mentions, but he won't give these kind of uh, input values. Assume that. Okay, then when you write the code, all public test cases will be passed. Okay, but when you submit by using the same logic, then private test cases may not be passed. Okay, you may not get all the private test cases passed, or many of the private test cases failed. Okay, because of the logic which you haven't arranged them in the ascending order. Okay, so this you should able to, no one will tell us. Okay, so we should understand from the problem statement itself, we should understand from the problem statement itself. That's why you should read the problem statement very clearly and understand them very clearly. Got? Okay, now we will work out the logic. Now after arranging them in ascending order of power bonus. Okay, so now what we'll get, we'll first look at the first monster. Okay, so our experience points 100, he also power 100, that means you can defeat the monster 1, so count becomes 1. Then what are your bonus points? Plus 1. Okay, so plus 1, that means you will get 101 experience points. Then look at the second monster. Okay, so he also has 101, that means you can defeat this monster, then your count becomes plus 1. Okay, then what are the bonus points you will get here? You will get plus 100 bonus points, then your bonus points becomes 201. Okay, then look at the third monster, 304. No, you cannot defeat this monster. Okay, so out of 3 you can defeat only 2 monsters, so your count is 2. Then return this count, which is equal to the required output. Yes or no? Okay, so this is how you should solve the given problem mathematically on paper. Okay, so you should work hard for getting this kind of solution on paper. Don't attack the problem directly with the coding. Try to deduce some logic, derive some logic. Then you can convert the logic easily into program steps. Any doubt in this? Right. Now we'll try to convert this logic into programming steps. Okay. So what are the inputs here? These are the inputs. Okay. So first we'll write code for reading the input values. Generally, no need to read input values. That code is already given to you. Okay. So since here it is uh, our own compiler. Okay. So in the Infosys editor. Okay. So already for reading these input values, for reading all these input values, the code is given. Okay. So only thing is they define a function. Okay. So and they pass all these values like n value, e value. Okay. So power value and also bonus values. They'll pass all these values to this function. So they are asked to just return this. Okay. So you'll have something like this. Okay. So you may have already main code will be written to you. Main code is already written for you. Okay. Then inside the main they call a function here. That function definition. Okay. So they'll give here. Okay. And here you will have a comment like this. Write your code here. Write your code here. I have shown this sample in one of the videos. Okay, so video number 3 or 4, I have shown this how the Infosys screen looks like. I shared that screenshot. Okay, with predetermined, okay, pre-written code also I have shared in 2-3 videos. Okay, so just look at those videos. You can understand which code you need to finish. Okay, so don't worry about reading the inputs. Only this function, if you can complete, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. But for us here we will try to write the complete code. So first we'll try to read n value here. Okay. So n value we'll try to read. So n value we'll say int input. Okay. So the first line we will read. The first line we will read, that is n value. Okay. So then e value, or we can say it as experience. Okay. So the second line contains one integer number. Okay. So that also we will read. Yes or no? Okay. So then the third value or third line onwards. Okay. So how your input is, just you try to understand how your input looks like. Okay. So your input now see these two. Okay. So then these next n lines indicates the power here. And n line indicates power of each monster. Okay. Right. So that's why what you need to do, you need to use a for loop. Okay. And store all them in the form of a list like we have seen here. Store in the form of a list. Okay. So each I value indicates corresponding power of a monster I. Okay. Right. So this we need to, so I call it as a power, or simply you say p, then use a for loop here. Okay. So you can use a for loop, and you can just go on adding. So you need to read the numbers, no, and store into the list as elements. Okay. So that's why you can simple list comprehension, something you can use here. Okay. So input integer type you need to read. Okay. So this input reads the number. Okay. So in input form, integer form, and stores here. Okay. So where from you should get this number, just use a loop here. Okay. So for underscore in. Okay. So how many lines, next how many lines you should read, n lines you should read. Okay. So that means you can just say range of n. So that means you repeat this loop for n times. That is what we are informing here. Okay. So this creates a new list containing integer numbers at this line. Okay, so that means you will get a P like this. Okay, so it is like 101, 100. Okay, so then next one is 324. Like this, your P will be generated. Similarly, your bonus say B, so same next n lines you should read. So that's why int of a input, then generate the code for underscore here. Because here you should use a variable here, but this variable is not required. If it is implementing some logic here, you should use this variable, but here there is no usage of this variable. There you can use some underscore here. Okay, so for I in range n, it reads next n values and stores in a bonus. So your bonus looks like this. Okay, so it is something like a what is this, 100 points you will get, one you will get here. Okay, so something like 524 points or something it is there. What is this? 524. So it creates a list B like this. Okay, now you know how to read your input. That means all your input came into your program. Okay, so now we try to implement the logic. Okay, so what is the logic? What is the logic we understood from this? That means, see here, this is your input. You need to arrange your input in this form. That means you need to arrange this in ascending order of power. Ascending order of power, you should arrange them. Okay, so for that, what you need to do? But when you arrange only this list power, when you arrange only this list power in ascending order, this remains as it is. It remains as it is, but their corresponding bonus points are present in this bonus list. So that's why you should together you should arrange them in the ascending order. Okay, so that means you should combine these two lists and based on the power value, you should arrange them in the ascending order. Okay, that's how you should write your code. Okay, so how we can do that? That means what you need to do is we need to combine these two into single entity. Okay, so for that we have a function. We have a function called as a zip function. Okay, we have a function called as a zip function. Zip like our zip bag contains a zip. No, so what it does? It attaches the two different parts of into single one. Okay, so then you say zip it P comma B. Okay, so that means these two lists will be converted into pair of tuples containing P first value, B second value. Okay, so it combines them into tuples, pair of tuples like this. Okay, so what this zip will do is it creates a new list like this. Okay, so each element in this new list is a pair. Okay, so 101, this one is the first one, then second one is B value, its corresponding B value. Okay, so these two will be combined into one pair, then these two will be combined into one pair. Okay, so then comma, the second element is 100 comma 1, then the third element is 324 comma 524, like this. It creates a new list. You will get the new list here. Okay, so directly now you ask this new list to sort. Okay, so what we can do is you can just use a function called as a sorted. Okay, so when the list contains pair of tuples. Okay, so what it does is it sorts based on the first number present in the tuple. Based on the first number, it sorts. Okay, so when it sorts, then it sorts and returns a new list. It returns a new list. Okay, so that new list will be in sorted order like this. The first element is 100 comma 1 because this is the smallest value. Then the second element is 101 comma 100. Then the third element is 324 comma 524. Okay, so like this a new list will be returned here. Okay, so in Python we have two functions, sort something like some list. Okay, so say a, and sorted. Okay, so sorted A if you say. So this sort function, if you pass a list, it will sort in place. It will sort in place. That means this list will be modified. This list will be modified. A itself contains the sorted elements. But when you use sorted on A, okay, so what it does is it takes a copy of A values and then sorts them and returns a new list and returns that sorted list that you can catch in another variable called B. Okay, so this is sorted externally, you can say. Okay, and returns externally sorts and returns that new sorted list that you can catch here in another variable. Okay, so since we want this new list, sorted new list we want, so that's why we use sorted function here. Okay, so this I am storing in something like you give some variable name. What best name we can give to this? Okay, so something like a new list or something you can specify here. Okay, or you can specify sorted list. Some meaningful name you can take here. Sorted list is equal to this one. Okay, so now you got the sorted list here containing each element as a tuple. Okay, so once you have this, okay, so we require a variable called as count. Okay, so you take another variable called as count is equal to initially 0. Count is equal to 0. Okay, now what you need to do? What you need to do? You need to take each pair from this. This is our new or sorted list. This is our sorted list. Sorted list. This is our sorted list. Okay, so take each pair from this sorted list and check this first value. Okay, so if the first value is greater than your experience, or your experience is greater than the first value from this, okay, so that means you have defeated and you can increase the count value. Okay, so like this you should traverse this list. You should traverse element by element, tuple by tuple, you should traverse. Okay, so when you want to traverse, what you need to do? You need to use a for loop here. You need to use a for loop here. Okay, so for, but here each element is a tuple containing two values, two values. So that's why you get those two values. One is called as a power and the second one is called as a bonus. Okay, you retrieve those two values from each tuple here. Okay, so for power comma bonus in sorted list, in sorted list. So what this statement will do is, from the sorted list, it takes the first tuple and splits this into two parts. The first part will be stored in a power and the second part will be stored in a bonus. Okay, so that means you are getting two values individually stored in these two variables. Okay, so it becomes easy to test now. It becomes easy to test now. Okay, right? So what you can do is, now you can check your experience. Okay, so if your experience is greater or not, or if for example, if something like the first monster power is greater than your experience, if the first monster power is, after sorting, even after sorting, if the first monster power is greater than your experience, then obviously you cannot fight with the second and third or all other monsters. That means you are defeated. You are defeated because since they are already arranged in the ascending order of their power. Okay, so if the first monster is having higher power than you, obviously second third will have higher power. That means you cannot fight with them. Okay, no need to check also. No need to check also. That's why if the power of power, this power first monster power is greater than your experience, simply you break. That's it. You come out from the loop. No need to go fight with others. That's it. You can stop fighting. Okay, so it declares that you are defeated. That means you have count value will be 0. You haven't defeated any monster. That is a final result. Otherwise, if the condition is false, so what is power value in this case? In this case, power value is 100 for the first tuple, 100. And what is your experience? Your experience is something like what is given? 100 only. Yeah, 100 experience is given as a 100. Okay, so experience is also 100. 100 greater than 100, no false. Okay, so that means you can defeat the first monster. Okay, so how you can say that you can defeat the condition itself? It says that you can defeat the first monster. Okay, so now it indicates that either your experience is equal or greater than the power of the first monster. Okay, so that means you have defeated that monster. Now you can simply increment the count value. Count plus is equals to 1, you can say. Count plus is equals to 1, you can say. So first monster you have defeated. So what happens? Then you should add his bonus points to your experience points. Okay. So then how you are showing your experience? It is experience. Okay. So experience plus is equal to previous experience points plus now the bonus, this bonus, whatever bonus the first month. Okay, so now the bonus contains the value 1. Okay, so 1 will be added to previous 100. Now this becomes 100 plus 1 means it becomes 101. Okay, then the loop continues. Okay, so the control goes up. Okay, so control comes here. Then again the second tuple comes to these two one. Okay, so power becomes this time power becomes power value becomes 101. Okay, and bonus value becomes 100. Okay, then it checks power 101 greater than experience. What is your experience now? It is also 101. So condition false, then that indicates you have defeated second also. So count will become count plus 1 means 2 it becomes, then experience becomes okay, so what is bonus here? 100. So 101 plus 100. Okay, so it becomes your bonus experience point becomes 201. Okay, then the loop continues. Okay, so then the loop continues here. Then it takes the third tuple and power becomes okay, so 324. Then it checks 324 greater than 201. Yes, then say break. It comes out from the for loop. Okay, so where you have counted in variable count you have counted. Okay, so now if you can return or if you can print okay, so since we are writing everything in main okay, so after coming out from the loop I am writing that statement here. So just you print count value, that prints the number 2. That's it, which is equal to your expected output. Yes or no? So this is how you write your code and test your code. If all public test cases passed, then you can submit your code. There are two things in the examination. Okay. So first you will have a run button. After writing the code, you need to run. Okay. So this triangle shape symbol will be there, or sometimes you will have a button like a run here. Okay. Then you have one more button called as a submit. So first you need to run the code. If all public test cases are passed, then you need to submit your code. If all private test cases are also passed, then you will get a green color message called accepted. Accepted. Okay, so when you get this accepted, it indicates all test cases passed. It also shows, okay, so 12 by 12 test cases passed. If some of them are missing, then it shows 8 by 12 test cases passed. That means out of 12, 8 passed, 4 are failed. Then you need to recheck your code. Like this, you should work out. Got it? Okay. So let us execute the code. Let us execute the code. So what we'll do is we'll open online compiler. Okay, and we'll copy a code and we'll try to So this is our online compiler, Python compiler. You can open any online Python compiler. And run the code. Now when you run the code, it asks for the input. So let us copy the input. Okay, so let me enter some input values. Say the second form I will enter. Okay, so it is waiting for the input. So three monsters are there. Okay, so first monster, our experience points are 100. Okay, our experience points are 100. So 101, 100. Then it is 101, then 100, and 324. Okay, so these are the 304 it is. Okay, so 304. Yeah, 324. Assume that. Oh, I need to enter this input once again. So 300, 101, 100. I'm sorry. Okay, so then 304, 101, 304, 100, and 1, and 524. Now if you enter, now you can see 2 displayed. Okay, so the number of monsters defeated is 2 here. Okay, so this is the output displayed. Similarly, you can test this with a test case 1. Okay, so test case 1, where is our test case 1? This is our test case 1. Okay, so 2, 123, 78. Let us run this and enter. So it is 2, 123, 2, 123, 78. Okay, so then next 130, 10, 0. So it is 130, 10, and 0. Now if you enter, now you can see the output displayed as a 2. Okay, so which is same as this one, 2 here. Okay, so 2 test cases passed successfully. Now you can submit your code, and that's how you can complete solving problems in the examination, Infosys examination. Okay, any doubts in this? So let us go back to our PPT. Any doubts regarding examination questions? So I can take up your doubts for 1 minute or 2 minutes. You can just type your doubt in the chat. Any queries you can type in the chat. Right? So understood this? Logic developing and everything. Just you need to spend some more time on understanding the problem. if you can understand the problem very well, it becomes very easy. Writing the code hardly takes 15 minutes. It hardly takes a 15 minutes of time. Okay, so don't be panic. Time is getting run out of time. Okay, so don't worry. Understand the problem first. Okay, so try to develop the logic. Then easily you can complete the coding part. Okay, thank you one and all. So if you found this video, please like the video and also share this video with your friends. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to the channel and also turn on the bell icon for more updates and notifications. So all the best. Thank you one and all.